Commander Olivia Reeves looked out the main window of her ship, the UES Horizon. The stars shined bright against the black space. Her mission was simple: check out a strange energy reading in the Kuiper Belt, far from Earth. The Kuiper Belt was a place of ice and rock at the edge of our solar system. Most days her job meant looking at boring space rocks. Today felt different. "Commander, we're getting closer to the signal," said Lieutenant Heather Blackwood. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel. "It's not like anything we've seen before," Olivia nodded. She was tall, with short brown hair and eyes that missed nothing. 10 years in space had taught her that different could mean trouble. "Show me on the main screen," she said. The screen lit up. What they saw was not a space rock. It was a ship. But not a human ship. Its shape was all wrong. Long and curved like a leaf with a surface that seemed to change colors as they watched. "Is it glowing?" asked Officer Maya Klein from her station. It was. The strange ship gave off a soft blue light that pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. "Scan it," ordered Olivia. Her heart beat faster, but her voice stayed calm. "First contact." Every space explorer dreamed of this moment. "The ship is very old," reported Maya after a minute. "Maybe hundreds of years. But it still has some power and—" She paused, looking confused. "There might be something alive in there." Olivia made her decision quickly. "Prepare a boarding team. Full suits, all safety protocols. We don't know what we're dealing with." An hour later, Olivia led a team of 5 onto the alien ship. They floated through a hole that looked like it had been made by a small meteor. Inside, the air was thin but breathable according to their instruments. The walls were covered with symbols that seemed to move when you didn't look directly at them. "These markings," said Dr. Peter Novak, the team's scientist, "they're not just decoration. I think they're writing." The team moved deeper into the ship. The blue glow was stronger here. They found rooms with strange objects that might have been furniture. They found what looked like a control room with dead panels and empty chairs made for bodies taller and thinner than human bodies. "Whoever they were," said Peter. "They were humanoid, but definitely not human." In the control room, Heather noticed something odd. "Commander, this section of wall doesn't match the rest." Olivia examined it. The wall panel was slightly different in color. When she touched it, it felt warmer than the rest of the ship. "It's hidden," she said. "Help me find a way to open it." It took them 20 minutes to figure out the alien mechanism. When the hidden door finally slid open, they found a small chamber. Inside was a clear container that looked like glass but was stronger. And inside that was a child, not a human child. The small figure had skin that glowed with the same blue light as the ship. Its body was thin and delicate, with long arms and 6 fingers on each hand. Its face was almost human, but with larger eyes and no visible nose, just 2 small slits. Its hair was like fine silver threads. "It's in some kind of stasis," said Peter, checking his instruments. "Frozen in time. And has been for—" "This can't be right. My readings say over 300 years. Can we wake it?" asked Olivia. "Safely?" Peter studied the container. "I think this panel controls the stasis field. If we—" Before he could finish, the container suddenly hissed and began to open on its own. The team stepped back, raising their weapons just in case. The small alien's eyes opened. They were solid blue with no pupils. It looked around, saw the humans, and let out a high-pitched sound that made them all wince. Fear. That sound was pure fear. The child tried to back away, its skin pulsing brighter with panic. It hit the back of the container and curled into a ball, trembling. 6-fingered hands covered its face. Olivia didn't think. She just acted. She stepped forward, holstered her weapon, and reached into the container. Gently, she lifted the alien child out. It was lighter than she expected, like picking up a bird. The child stiffened at first. Then, as Olivia held it close, it slowly relaxed. The blue pulses of light across its skin slowed down. It looked up at her with those strange eyes. "It's okay," Olivia said softly, knowing the child couldn't understand her words, but hoping it would understand her tone. "You're safe now." The alien child made a different sound, then softer, almost like humming. It reached out one 6-fingered hand and touched Olivia's face with surprising gentleness. "Commander," said Maya from behind her. "What do we do now?" That was the question. They had found something impossible. A survivor from an unknown alien race preserved for centuries, now awake and in Olivia's arms. "This changed everything. We take her home," said Olivia. Something told her the child was female, though she couldn't have explained why she thought that. We learn who she is and what happened to her people. The brass will want to take her, warned Heather. Study her. Olivia looked down at the small alien who had stopped trembling but still clung to her uniform. They'll have to go through me first. Back on the horizon, Dr. Lisa Wong examined the alien child while Olivia stayed close. The child wouldn't let go of Olivia's hand. She's remarkable, said Lisa. Her biology is based on the same basic building blocks as ours, but with significant differences. Her cells actually generate light, and her brain activity is off the charts. Is she healthy? Asked Olivia. As far as I can tell, yes. The stasis kept her perfectly preserved. No aging, no deterioration. Lisa smiled at the child, who watched her with curious eyes. She's a miracle, Olivia. Over the next few days, as the horizon headed back to Earth, the alien child began to adapt. She started eating the food they gave her. She watched everyone closely and began to mimic sounds. The ship's AI worked to create a translation program. Olivia spent every free moment with her. She named her Alara, after one of Jupiter's moons. Alara learned at an amazing speed. Within a week, she could say a few words in English. Olivia, she would say, pointing at the commander. Friend. What Olivia didn't tell her crew was that sometimes, when she held Alara's hand, she saw flashes of memory. A beautiful world with two suns, tall beings with glowing skin, and then darkness coming, ships like black holes in the sky, and terrible fear. As Earth grew larger in their view screen, Olivia made a promise to herself. Whatever happened next, she would protect Alara. Something terrible had happened to her people. Olivia wouldn't let anything bad happen to her. What she didn't know was that their discovery would soon draw the attention of forces beyond Earth, including the very ones responsible for the extinction of Alara's kind, and a powerful group called the High Council, who had watched it all happen and done nothing. The UES Horizon arrived at Luna Station, Earth's main space dock orbiting the moon. Olivia stood on the bridge, watching as the massive structure grew larger in the view screen. Alara held her hand tightly. The alien child had rarely left Olivia's side in the 2 weeks since they had found her. She's learning so fast, Dr. Lisa Wong said, standing nearby. Her grasp of our language is amazing. It was true. Alara now spoke in simple but clear sentences. The ship's AI had helped create a translation program, but Alara seemed to absorb English directly. She pointed at the growing space station. Big home? She asked, her voice musical and light. Not home, Olivia explained. Just a stopping place. We need to talk to some important people there. Alara's blue skin darkened slightly, a sign they had learned meant worry or fear. Bad people? Olivia squeezed the small 6-fingered hand. Not bad, just careful. They've never met anyone like you before. The truth was, Olivia was worried too. Her last call with Admiral Samantha Ortiz had not gone well. The Admiral had used phrases like national security and quarantine protocols. Olivia didn't like the sound of either. Message from Admiral Ortiz, announced Lieutenant Heather Blackwood. She's waiting for us in Docking Bay 7 with a welcome committee. Olivia nodded. Tell her we'll be there shortly. She turned to Lisa. How's our backup plan? Lisa handed her a small device that looked like a medical scanner. It'll scramble any tracking chips they try to place on Alara, and I've prepared a shuttle, just in case. Let's hope we don't need it, said Olivia. When the Horizon docked, Olivia stood at the airlock with Alara beside her. The rest of her chosen crew, Heather, Lisa, Maya Klein, and Dr. Peter Novak, stood behind them. All had agreed to help protect Alara no matter what. The airlock opened. Admiral Ortiz stood there, a tall woman with gray hair and a stern face. Behind her were 6 armed guards and a team of people in white lab coats. Commander Reeves, said the Admiral, her eyes immediately going to Alara. I see the reports were accurate. Admiral, Olivia replied formally. May I introduce Alara? She's our guest and under my protection. The Admiral's expression didn't change. This is Dr. William Foster, head of xenobiology at the Earth Defense Force. The alien will be transferred to his custody immediately. Her name is Alara, Olivia said firmly, and she's not going anywhere without me. This isn't a request, Commander, it's an order. Olivia took a deep breath. With respect, Admiral, I'm invoking Article 7 of the First Contact Protocols. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Article 7 was rarely used. It stated that in first contact situations, the commanding officer who made contact could claim temporary guardianship if they believed separation would cause harm to the alien visitor. You're overstepping, Commander. I don't think so, said Olivia. Ilara has bonded with me. She's just a child. Separating us would traumatize her. As if to prove her point, Ilara pressed closer to Olivia's side, her skin pulsing with nervous blue light. The Admiral and Olivia stared at each other for a long moment. Finally, the Admiral sighed. Fine. You can stay with her during initial testing. But this is a military matter now, Commander. Don't forget that. The next few days were difficult. Ilara was brave as the scientists ran their tests, but she cried at night. Olivia stayed with her in the small room they had been given at the research facility. During the day, they asked Ilara endless questions about her people, the Luminari, and how she had ended up in stasis on that abandoned ship. Bad things came, Ilara explained one day, as Olivia and Dr. Foster listened. Black ships. They ate the light. She made a sucking sound. 8 people, too. Who were they? Asked Dr. Foster. Voidborn, said Ilara, and her whole body trembled at the name. Made of darkness. Hunt us always. Why? Asked Olivia gently. Ilara touched her own chest where her heart would be. We are light. They are dark. They hate us. Were your parents on the ship with you? Olivia asked. Ilara nodded. Mother and father put me in sleep box. Said, be safe. Then they went to fight. Her eyes filled with tears that glowed like tiny stars. Never came back. Dr. Foster leaned forward. Did your parents mention something called the High Council? Ilara's reaction was immediate. Her skin flashed bright blue, then dimmed to almost gray. She shrank back against Olivia. Watchers, she whispered. They watch, do nothing. Let Voidborn hunt us. That night, Olivia was woken by an alarm. Red lights flashed in their room. Ilara sat up in her bed, eyes wide with fear. What's happening? Olivia asked into her comm unit. Security breach, came the reply. Unknown ships just appeared in Earth orbit. They're not responding to communications. Olivia felt cold fear in her stomach. She looked at Ilara, who was shaking. They found me, the alien child whispered. Voidborn found me. Olivia moved quickly. She grabbed the emergency pack she had prepared and helped Ilara dress. We're leaving, she told the child. They slipped out of their room. The facility was in chaos, with people running in all directions. Olivia kept to the shadows, moving toward the shuttle bay where Lisa had prepared their escape craft. They almost made it. Just as the shuttle bay came into view, Admiral Ortiz stepped out with 4 guards. Going somewhere, Commander? She asked coldly. Those ships, said Olivia. They're hunting Ilara. We need to get her away from Earth. Actually, we've made contact with the visitors, said the Admiral. They claim to be representatives of something called the High Council. They say they've come to collect a stolen child. Ilara's grip on Olivia's hand became painfully tight. Lies, she whispered. High Council works with Voidborn now. Always did. Secret. The Admiral looked at Ilara with new interest. Is that so? Well, either way, they're sending a delegation down. And they specifically asked for you, Commander. By name. Olivia felt a chill. How do they know my name? That's what I'd like to know, said the Admiral, along with how these aliens showed up just weeks after you found one of their kind. They're not the same, protested Olivia. Ilara said. She was interrupted by a blinding flash of light from outside. Through the windows, they saw a beam of energy connect the largest alien ship to the ground near the facility. Looks like our visitors are coming down, said the Admiral. And we're going to greet them, all of us. Olivia knew she had no choice. She picked up Ilara, holding the trembling child close to her chest. Whatever these visitors were, she wouldn't let them take Ilara without a fight. Outside, a group of tall figures emerged from the light beam. They looked similar to Alara, with the same basic body shape, but their skin glowed with many different colors: green, purple, amber. They wore flowing robes with strange symbols. One stepped forward, taller than the rest. "I am Zorax, representative of the High Council of Allied Species," it said in perfect English. "We have come for the Luminary child." Admiral Ortiz saluted. "Welcome to Earth. I'm Admiral Samantha Ortiz of the Earth Defense Force." Zorax barely glanced at her. Its eyes were fixed on Olivia and Alara. "Commander Olivia Reeves," it said. "You have something that does not belong to you." Olivia held Alara tighter. The child was shaking against her. "She doesn't belong to anyone," Olivia said firmly. "And she's afraid of you. Why is that, I wonder?" Zorax's skin pulsed with orange light. "The child is confused, traumatized by her long sleep. We are her people's allies. We will take her to safety." "No," whispered Alara. "They let my people die. They watched." Zorax moved closer. "Come, child. It's time to go home." Olivia stepped back. "She stays with me until I know the truth." The alien's eyes narrowed. "Very well. If you insist on being involved, then you shall be. You are both summoned to appear before the High Council. There, all will be explained." Admiral Ortiz started to protest, but Zorax raised a hand. "This is not a request, human. Your species is not yet part of our alliance. You have no standing to refuse." "And if we do refuse?" asked Olivia. Zorax smiled, showing teeth that glowed like the rest of its body. "Then we will take what we came for. One way or another." In that moment, Olivia knew her life had changed forever. Whatever happened next, she would not let go of the shaking alien child in her arms. Not for all the threats in the universe. Olivia woke to the sound of voices. Her head hurt and bright spots danced in her vision when she tried to open her eyes. She was lying on something soft. Someone was holding her hand. "She's waking up," said a voice she recognized as Lisa's. Olivia forced her eyes open. Lisa and Heather stood over her, their faces marked with cuts and bruises but very much alive. Admiral Ortiz stood nearby talking to someone Olivia couldn't see. "What happened?" Olivia asked, her voice rough. "Where's Alara?" The faces above her grew sad. Lisa squeezed her hand. "Olivia, Alara is gone. She saved us all." Memories flooded back. The Voidborn, the light room, Alara's small body transforming into pure energy. "No," whispered Olivia, a deep pain filling her chest. "She was just a child." "A very brave child," said Admiral Ortiz, coming to stand by the bed. "Her light destroyed every Voidborn on the station. The sensors show their ships are gone too, completely destroyed." Olivia sat up slowly, fighting dizziness. They were in what looked like a medical bay. Through a window she could see stars and part of the council station, which appeared damaged but intact. "How long was I out?" she asked. "About 12 hours, replied Heather. "The blast knocked us all out, but you were closest to Alara. The doctors said you absorbed more of the energy wave." "The council wants to speak with us," said Admiral Ortiz. "They've been waiting for you to wake up." Anger flared in Olivia. "The council? The ones who created the Voidborn? The ones who watched the Luminari die and did nothing? They want to talk now?" "They're different now," said Lisa carefully. "Something changed after what Alara did." Olivia stood up, ignoring the pain in her head. "Take me to them." The council chamber looked different. Parts of the walls were damaged, and many of the floating platforms were missing. Of the 7 council members, only 5 remained. Zerxon, the metal-skinned arbiter, was still there, but he no longer sat tall and proud. He was slumped in his chair, looking somehow older. When Olivia and the others entered, a hush fell over the gathered aliens. All eyes turned to them. "Commander Olivia Reeves," said Zerxon, his voice quieter than before. "We are grateful that you have recovered." "Where is Alara?" demanded Olivia. She knew the child was gone, but she needed to hear it from them. Zerxon looked away. The Luminary child's physical form was completely converted to energy during the event. "There is nothing left to recover. She had a name," said Olivia coldly. "Ilara. And she died saving all of you. After you abandoned her people to die." Murmurs ran through the chamber. Many of the aliens looked down in what might have been shame. "What the Voidborn said," began Admiral Ortiz, "about the Council creating them. Was it true?" Xerxen was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Yes, long ago, when the Council was young, we found a tear in reality, a place of pure darkness. We thought we could use it, shape it into a weapon against those who opposed us." "You made monsters to do your dirty work," said Olivia bitterly. "We were fools," admitted Xerxen. "The Voidborn evolved beyond our control. They developed their own hunger, their own will. We managed to contain them in remote regions of space, but they always escaped eventually." "And you used them," said Heather. "The Voidborn said you still directed them sometimes. At problem species." Xerxen couldn't meet their eyes. "Some on the Council found ways to influence them, to suggest targets. Like the Luminari," said Olivia. "What did they do that was so terrible?" "Why did they deserve extinction?" "They discovered the truth," said a new voice. An alien stepped forward, one Olivia hadn't seen before. It was similar to the Alari, but smaller, with skin that glowed a soft green. The Luminari were scientists and explorers. They discovered old records about the Voidborn's creation. They threatened to reveal this to all Council species. "So you silenced them," said Admiral Ortiz. "An entire species." "Not the entire Council agreed," said the green alien. "Some of us tried to help the Luminari. I am Aloran of the Solari. Were cousins to the Luminari. We helped some escape, hide in pocket dimensions where the Voidborn couldn't reach." "There are survivors?" asked Lisa, hope in her voice. Aloran nodded. "A small colony, hidden well. We couldn't save more without exposing ourselves to the same fate." "And now?" asked Olivia. "What happens now that your secret is out?" "Now," said Xerxen heavily, "the Council must change. What the child did, what Ilara did. It has opened many eyes, including mine." He stood up slowly. "I resign my position as arbiter. I recommend that a human take my place." Shocked whispers filled the chamber. Olivia stared at him in disbelief. "A human? We're not even part of your alliance." "Perhaps it is time you were," said Xerxen. "Your kind is young, yes. Impulsive, perhaps. But you have something many of us have lost. Compassion, courage, the willingness to protect those weaker than yourselves." He looked directly at Olivia. "You held a frightened alien child and protected her when we would have sacrificed her. That is the kind of leadership the Council needs now." Olivia shook her head. "I'm just a ship commander. I'm not qualified to lead a galactic council." "Not you alone," said Aloran, "but perhaps humans could join us, help us rebuild something better than what we had." "First," said Admiral Ortiz firmly, "we need full disclosure. Everything about the Voidborn, everything about the Council's past actions, everything about the species you've been hiding from. And we need to contact the Luminari survivors," added Olivia. "Tell them what Ilara did, that her sacrifice meant something." The discussions went on for hours. Plans were made for Earth to send representatives to the Council. Promises were given for technology sharing, cultural exchange, and most importantly, truth. Later, Olivia stood alone in a quiet corner of the station, looking out at the stars. In her hand, she held a small crystal that Aloran had given her. It glowed with a soft blue light. "It contains a small fragment of the energy released when Ilara transformed," Aloran had explained. "Not her consciousness, not exactly, but something of her essence. Her light." Now Olivia watched the gentle pulsing of the crystal. It reminded her of how Ilara's skin would glow when she was happy. "We'll make it right," Olivia whispered to the crystal. "I promise you. Your sacrifice won't be forgotten. The Council will change. Your people will be honored." The crystal seemed to pulse a little brighter in response. Olivia smiled sadly. It was probably just her imagination, but she liked to think that somewhere, somehow, Ilara could hear her. A week later, Olivia stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon once more. The ship had been upgraded with technology provided by the Council as a gesture of good faith. Their mission was special, to be the first Earth ship to visit the hidden Luminari colony. Admiral Ortiz had remained at the Council station as Earth's first official representative. Lisa had stayed too, eager to study alien medicine. Heather had chosen to return with Olivia. "Course laid in, Commander," said Heather from her station. "The coordinates the Solari provided lead to a strange area of space, some kind of dimensional fold." "Take us there, Lieutenant," said Olivia. She touched the crystal that now hung around her neck. It was warm against her skin. As the Horizon's new engines powered up, preparing to jump to speeds no human ship had achieved before, Olivia thought about what awaited them. A hidden colony of light beings who had lost everything, who didn't yet know that a small child had avenged their people and changed the course of galactic politics. The stars outside the view screen stretched into lines as the ship accelerated. Olivia held onto the crystal and made a silent promise. She would tell the Luminari survivors about Ilara, about her courage, about how when it mattered most a human had held a shaking alien child, while the High Council watched in silence, and how that child had saved them all. As the ship entered the dimensional fold, Olivia could have sworn she heard a familiar small voice in her mind. Not gone, it seemed to say, just changed. Like light through a prism, Olivia smiled. "We're coming, Ilara," she whispered. "We're bringing your light home." The Horizon vanished into the fold, carrying hope and a story that would soon become legend across hundreds of worlds. The legend of a brave child who had brought light to the darkness and changed the fate of the galaxy forever. The alien ship was unlike anything Olivia had ever seen. From the outside, it looked like a giant teardrop made of crystal that changed colors as you watched. Inside, it was even stranger. The walls seemed alive, pulsing with soft light. There were no sharp corners anywhere, just flowing curves and arches. Zorax led Olivia, still carrying Ilara, through the ship. Admiral Ortiz followed with Dr. Lisa Wong and Lieutenant Heather Blackwood. Olivia had insisted they come along. She wanted people she trusted with her. The journey to the Council Station will take 3 of your Earth days, said Zorax. These will be your quarters. Showed them to a large room with several bed-like platforms that floated, a few inches above the floor. There were no doors, just openings that appeared in the walls when needed. "Where exactly are we going?" asked Admiral Ortiz. "The Council Station orbits a neutron star at the center of what you call the Horsehead Nebula," replied Zorax. "It has been there for over 10,000 years. 10,000 years? Dr. Wong's eyes widened. "Your civilization is that old?" "The Council is much older than that," said Zorax. "Some member species have been traveling the stars for millions of years." "And yet you never contacted Earth," said Admiral Ortiz, her voice sharp. Zorax's skin pulsed with yellow light. "Your species was deemed unpredictable. The Council prefers to wait until races have matured beyond certain tendencies." "Like what?" asked Olivia. "Violence, tribalism, resource waste." Zorax looked at them with something like pity. "You have much growing to do." After Zorax left, Olivia sat on one of the floating beds with Ilara. The child had been silent since they boarded the ship, her skin a dull blue-gray color. "Are you okay?" Olivia asked her gently. Ilara looked up at her with large, sad eyes. "They lie," she whispered. "High Council. Always lie. What are they lying about?" asked Heather, sitting nearby. Ilara struggled to find the words. "They say help all, but they only help some. They watch others die. Like your people?" asked Olivia. Ilara nodded. "Luminari asked for help. Many times. Council said no. Said Voidborn not real threat." Her small body trembled. "But Voidborn killed all. Ate our worlds." Lisa sat on Ilara's other side. "How do you know all this? You were just a child when you went into stasis." "I see parents' memories," said Ilara, touching her head. "When they put me in sleep box, they gave me..." She frowned, looking for the right word. "Knowledge, here." She tapped her temple. "Your parents transferred memories to you?" asked Lisa, fascinated. "Is that normal for your species?" "Only for dying," said Ilara quietly. Last gift. The 3 Earth days passed slowly. They were given food that looked strange but tasted good. They were allowed to move around certain parts of the ship but were kept away from anything important. Zorax rarely spoke to them, and the other aliens, who called themselves the Ilari, avoided them completely. Olivia spent the time learning everything she could from Ilara. The child knew more than she first appeared to. Her parents had been important Luminari, ambassadors to the High Council. They had hidden important information in Ilara's transferred memories, information they wanted saved. On the 3rd day, they felt the ship slow down. Zorax appeared at their door. "We have arrived," he announced. "Prepare yourselves. Few humans have ever seen what you are about to see." They followed him to what seemed to be a viewing area. The wall became transparent, revealing the space outside. What they saw took their breath away. A massive structure floated in space near a small, incredibly bright star. The structure was shaped like a giant wheel with spokes connecting to a central hub. It was enormous, easily the size of Earth's moon. "The Council Station," said Zorax with pride. "Home to representatives from over 300 spacefaring species." 300? Whispered Lisa. "All this time while we thought we were alone." "You were never alone," said Zorax. "Merely quarantined, for your own protection." "And who decided we needed protection?" asked Admiral Ortiz sharply. "The Council decides all such matters," replied Zorax, "as they have for millennia." Their ship docked at one of the spokes of the giant wheel. When they disembarked, they found themselves in a vast hall filled with the strangest collection of beings Olivia had ever imagined. Some looked almost human, others were completely alien, floating clouds of gas, creatures like giant insects, beings made of what looked like living crystal. "Stay close," warned Zorax. "The station has Earth-standard gravity and atmosphere in most areas, but some sections are customized for other species. Entering those without protection would kill you instantly." They were led through crowded hallways where aliens of all descriptions moved about their business. Many stopped to stare at the humans. Olivia kept Alara close, noticing how the child seemed to shrink away from certain aliens. Finally, they reached a large door made of some black material that seemed to swallow light. "The council chamber," announced Zorax. "They are waiting." The chamber beyond was enormous, a perfect sphere with platforms floating at different levels. On each platform stood representatives of different alien species. Some Olivia recognized from the hallways. Others were even stranger. At the center of the room, a larger platform held what appeared to be the leaders, 7 beings of different species sitting in ornate chairs. "The High Council," whispered Alara, her voice filled with fear. Zorax led them to a small platform that detached from the floor and floated up to the center of the chamber, stopping in front of the 7 council members. "Honored counselors," said Zorax, bowing low, "I present the humans from Earth and the luminary child they discovered." The central figure leaned forward. It was humanoid but much taller than a human, with skin that looked like polished metal and eyes that glowed red. "I am Zerxon, Chief Arbiter of the High Council," it said in a deep, echoing voice. "You stand in the heart of galactic civilization, humans. Few of your kind have been granted such privilege." Admiral Ortiz stepped forward. "We thank you for the privilege, Arbiter, but we are confused about why we're here. You are here because you interfered in matters beyond your understanding," said another council member, being that looked like a giant jellyfish floating in a special tank. "The luminary child belongs under council protection." "With respect," said Olivia, still holding Alara. "If the council was so concerned about luminary children, where were you when her people were being slaughtered?" A murmur ran through the watching aliens. The council members shifted uncomfortably. "You speak of things you do not understand, human," said Zerxon coldly. "The conflict between the Luminari and the Voidborn was regrettable, but outside our jurisdiction." "Outside your jurisdiction?" repeated Admiral Ortiz incredulously. "An entire species was wiped out." "Not the entire species," said a third council member, a being with 6 arms and a head like an octopus. "Some Luminari survived. We believe they are in hiding." Alara suddenly spoke up, her voice small but clear in the large chamber. "Council knew Voidborn were coming. Luminari asked for help. Council said no." All eyes turned to the child. Zerxon's red eyes narrowed. "The child is confused, traumatized by her experiences." "Am not confused," said Alara with surprising strength. "Remember everything. Parents were ambassadors. They showed me truth before they died." "What truth?" asked Olivia gently. Alara looked up at the council, her small face set in determination despite her fear. "Voidborn not natural. They were made to hunt." The chamber erupted in noise as hundreds of aliens began talking at once. Zerxon slammed a metal hand down, creating a booming sound that silenced everyone. "These are dangerous accusations," he said, voice cold with anger. "The child clearly needs help and healing. She will be taken into council custody immediately." "No," said Olivia, tightening her hold on Alara. "She stays with me." "This is not a negotiation, human," said Zerxon. The child is not yours to keep. She's not property, said Olivia firmly. She's a person who has chosen to stay with me because she feels safe. Enough. Xerxen stood, towering over them even from a distance. Guards, take the child. Several aliens in what appeared to be armor moved toward their platform. Olivia backed up, holding Alara protectively. Admiral Ortiz, Lisa, and Heather moved to stand beside her. Just then, alarms began to sound throughout the chamber. Red lights flashed on the walls. What's happening? Demanded Xerxen. A new alien rushed into the chamber, a small being with green skin and 4 eyes. Arbiter! Ships have appeared near the station. Many ships. They're not responding to hails. Show me, ordered Xerxen. A large screen appeared in the air. It showed space outside the station, where dozens of strange ships had appeared. They were unlike any other ships Olivia had seen. They seemed to be made of pure darkness, their edges blurry as if they weren't fully solid. Alara gasped and buried her face against Olivia's shoulder. Voidborn, she whispered in terror. They found me. The council chamber descended into chaos. Aliens rushed about, shouting in different languages. The council members huddled together, talking urgently. Xerxen turned back to the humans, his metal face now showing something like fear. This is your doing, he accused. You led them here somehow. That's ridiculous, said Admiral Ortiz. We didn't even know you existed until a few days ago. The Voidborn can sense Luminari energy, said another council member. They must have detected the child when you woke her from stasis. Alarms blared throughout the station as Olivia and her group ran through the corridors. Alara led the way, her small body glowing brighter with determination. Around them, aliens of all kinds rushed in different directions, some heading to safety, others to battle stations. This way, said Alara, pointing down a less crowded hallway. Luminary rooms not far. They followed her, moving quickly but carefully. Twice they had to hide as groups of council guards ran past. Olivia wasn't sure if the guards were looking for them or just responding to the Voidborn threat, but she didn't want to find out. What exactly are these Voidborn? Asked Admiral Ortiz as they ran. Ilara said they were made, not natural. Made by who? And why would they hunt the Luminari? Added Lisa. Alara glanced back at them. Luminari are light. Voidborn are darkness. They eat light, eat energy. My people full of both. Like a food source? Asked Heather, horrified. Alara nodded. And they hate us. We're made to hate us, and made by who? Pressed Admiral Ortiz again. Before Alara could answer, a massive boom shook the entire station. They were thrown against the walls as the lights flickered. They're inside, whispered Alara, her skin pulsing with fear. Voidborn inside station now. We need to hurry, said Olivia, picking Alara up to move faster. They ran through more corridors, going deeper into the station. The further they went, the fewer aliens they saw. This section seemed almost abandoned. Finally, they reached a door with symbols that matched the markings from the derelict ship, where they had found Alara. The door was sealed shut. Can you open it? Asked Olivia, setting Alara down. The child placed her small 6-fingered hand on a panel beside the door. Her skin glowed brighter, and the panel responded with a soft hum. The door slid open. Inside was a large room that clearly hadn't been used in a long time. Dust covered the strange furniture and equipment. The walls were lined with crystals that glowed faintly, responding to Alara's presence. Light room, said Alara, for Luminari to recharge. She walked to the center of the room where a circular platform stood. Above it hung a large crystal that looked like a chandelier. What does it do? Asked Lisa, examining the equipment with scientific curiosity. Makes our light stronger, explained Alara. For healing, for growing, for fighting if needed. Another explosion rocked the station, closer this time. The lights went out completely, leaving only Alara's blue glow and the faint light from the wall crystals. They're getting closer, said Heather, drawing her sidearm. We need a plan. Alara climbed onto the central platform. I can make light. Big light? Hurt Voidborn. Will it be enough to stop them? Asked Admiral Ortiz. Alara's face fell. No, I am small. Need many Luminari for big fight. Is there any way to make your light stronger? Asked Olivia. Strong enough to matter? Alara hesitated, then pointed to a control panel near the platform. That can help, but dangerous for me. Dangerous how? Asked Olivia sharply. Too much light. Burn me up, said Alara simply. Like star-going supernova. Absolutely not, said Olivia immediately. We'll find another way. There might not be another way, said Admiral Ortiz grimly. If these Voidborn take the station, what happens next? They not stop at station, said Alara. They go to all worlds. Eat all light? All life, including Earth? Asked Lisa. Alara nodded solemnly. Earth has much life. Much light. They want it all. Before they could discuss further, the door to the room slid open. They spun around, weapons ready, but it was Zorax who entered, along with several other Alari. There you are, he said, sounding relieved. The Council is looking for you. To do what? Asked Olivia suspiciously. Hand Alara over to the Voidborn as a peace offering? Zorax's skin flushed dark purple. That was discussed. Some Council members believe the Voidborn would leave if given what they want. And what do they want exactly? Asked Admiral Ortiz. Just Alara? Or all light in the universe? You don't understand the situation, said Zorax. The Voidborn are too powerful. The Council has maintained a delicate balance for millennia. Sometimes, sacrifices must be made. Like the entire luminary species? Asked Olivia bitterly. Zorax didn't answer directly. The Arbiter demands your presence. All of you now. We're a little busy, said Heather, gesturing to the equipment they were trying to understand. This is not a request, said Zorax. The other Alari moved forward, hands on what looked like weapons. Just then, the station shook violently. The lights that had come back on went out again. From somewhere not far away came a terrible sound. Part screech, part moan, completely inhuman. They're here, whispered Alara, trembling. Voidborn here. Zorax's confidence vanished. His skin turned pale blue with fear. We need to go now, the safe rooms. There are no safe rooms, said a new voice from the doorway. Not from us, they all turned. In the doorway stood a figure that barely looked solid. It was roughly humanoid, but seemed to be made of living shadow. Where its face should be was just darker shadow with 2 points of dull red light for eyes. It was tall, over 7 feet, and seemed to bend the light around it, creating a visual distortion that hurt to look at. Voidborn, gasped Alara, shrinking back against Olivia. The shadow creature tilted its head, the movement unnaturally smooth. A luminary child, it said, its voice like gravel falling into a deep pit. The last of her kind, almost. More shadow figures appeared behind the first one. They moved strangely, not quite walking but flowing across the floor like spilled oil. Zorax and the other Elari backed away. We can discuss this, Zorax said, his voice shaking. The Council has served its purpose, said the lead Voidborn. As have you, Elari. Your usefulness ends here. One of the shadow creatures lunged forward with frightening speed. It engulfed an Elari completely. There was a terrible sucking sound, a brief scream, and then the Elari was gone. The Voidborn seemed slightly larger, its red eyes brighter. Stop, shouted Olivia. She pushed Alara behind her, though she knew her human body would provide little protection against these things. The lead Voidborn turned those terrible red eyes on her. A human, it said, sounding almost amused. So far from home. Your species was next on our list after we finished here. Why? Demanded Admiral Ortiz. What have we ever done to you? You exist, said the Voidborn simply. You burn with life energy, we hunger. It is our nature. Not nature, said Alara suddenly, stepping out from behind Olivia despite her fear. You were made, created to hunt, to kill. The Voidborn went very still. The child knows more than she should, it said after a moment. Who told you this, little light? My parents, said Alara. They were ambassadors. They learned truth before they died. And what truth is that? Asked the Voidborn, moving closer. Alara stood her ground, though her small body trembled. Council made you, long ago, to control galaxy, to remove species they didn't want. A ripple seemed to pass through all the Voidborn. The lead one made a sound like broken glass being crushed. Clever little light, it said. Yes, we were created as weapons. The Council found a dark place between dimensions. They pulled us into this reality, shaped us, pointed us at their enemies. Its voice dropped lower. But creators should be careful. Sometimes their creations evolve. You turned on them, said Admiral Ortiz, understanding dawning. We grew hungry, said the Voidborn. The Luminari were our first targets. So full of energy. So delicious. When we finished them, or nearly finished them, we wanted more. And the council couldn't control you anymore, said Olivia. They try to contain us, redirect us. Sometimes they still succeed. The shadow figure seemed to smile, though it had no visible mouth. They send us to deal with problem species like yours would have been human. Your kind spreads too quickly, thinks too freely. The council finds you unpredictable. Zorax, who had been frozen with fear, suddenly moved toward the door. One of the Voidborn caught him easily, enveloping him in darkness. His scream cut off abruptly. The lead Voidborn turned back to Ilara. Now, little light. Time to join your people in nothingness. It moved forward. Olivia tried to shield Ilara, but another Voidborn grabbed her, pulling her away. The same happened to the others, each human held by a shadow creature unable to move. Don't hurt her, shouted Olivia, struggling uselessly against the cold grip. The lead Voidborn reached for Ilara. The child backed up until she stood on the central platform. Olivia, she called, her voice steady despite her fear. Remember what I said about light. Ilara, no! Olivia understood immediately what the child was planning. There has to be another way. Ilara shook her head sadly. No other way. Too many Voidborn now. She reached for the control panel. I save you. Save Earth. How touching, said the lead Voidborn, still advancing. A noble sacrifice. It will make no difference. You wrong, said Ilara. Her small hand activated the crystal above her. It began to glow brighter and brighter. Luminari light special. Pure energy, when concentrated. She looked at Olivia one last time, her eyes full of determination and sadness. Remember me, stop her, shouted the lead Voidborn, suddenly alarmed. The shadow creature surged forward, but it was too late. Ilara's body began to glow brighter than ever before. The crystal amplified it, sending beams of light shooting in all directions. The Voidborn shrieked, a terrible sound of pain and rage. The ones holding the humans let go, retreating from the growing light.